Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 17, AR Endings. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your blue book, open to page 107. You will also need some colorful pens, markers, crayons, or highlighters. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key as well. If at any point I'm moving too fast, please pause the video and catch up. All right, so this year we have been talking a lot about two-syllable words. We've noticed that one syllable in each word is stressed and the other syllable is unstressed. Those stressed syllables are pretty easy to figure out. However, we've learned that unstressed syllables can be tricky because a lot of the vowel sounds turn into a schwa. We get that sound, right? And that schwa, sound, can be represented by any vowel and many different vowel combinations. Well, now we're going to find out what happens if we put an R-controlled vowel at the end of an unstressed syllable. So you'll notice that all of our words this week end with AR. Now you first learned that AR says R in words like car and star. However, when AR shows up at the end of a word, it tends to morph into that sound. AR, OR, and ER at the end of a word all sound the same. They say So let's start by reading our list, and as we do, I want you to listen for that sound at the end of each word. Here we go. Beggar, seller, cheddar, collar, dollar, grammar, liar, lunar, molar, nectar, pillar, polar, solar, stellar, sugar. All right, so the first thing you should be paying attention to and noticing this week is that all of our words end with AR, but they all say Okay, now you've probably noticed that I already went ahead and broke our words into syllables and also put a check mark above the stressed syllable. This week on this list, it's the first syllable that is stressed, but that's not always the case. If you'd like to pause the video for a second to catch up, please do that now. All right, so there's nothing too much to talk about when we look at the endings of these words. They're all AR. So let's do a quick review of open syllables and closed syllables. Remember, closed syllables close with a consonant sound. They have a short vowel followed by a consonant. So we see that in beg, sell, shed, call, doll, gram, neck, pill, and stell. Everything that I just surrounded by a blue box is a closed syllable. I don't think you're going to have any problem spelling these word chunks, beg, sell, shed, because you can hear all the sounds in them. We also have open syllables. Remember, open syllables end with one vowel that says its name. So we have lie with the long I sound, loo with the long U sound, mo with the long O sound, po with a long O sound, and so with a long O sound. Anything in an orange box is a open syllable. Closed syllables, short vowel. Open syllable, long vowel. And then we have this wacky word right here. This is sugar. And I guess we could consider that a closed syllable because we have a vowel followed by a consonant. But if I were to read that as a closed syllable, I would think it would say sug, and it doesn't. It says shug. So I'm just going to put a little star right there as a reminder that I need to watch out. Because there's something tricky about the spelling of sugar. It seems like it should have an SH and it doesn't. Okay, so all these words that end with AR, I'm wondering if there's some sort of connection between the word and its part of speech. We've seen this before, right? Words that end with AL tend to be adjectives. Things that end with TION tend to be nouns. So let's go through our list, and as we're talking about the meanings of these words, let's try to figure out the part of speech. Okay, so we're going to start with beggar. A beggar is a person who's very, very poor, and so they don't have anything of their own, so they are begging for food or money or a place to stay. So a beggar is a person and therefore a noun. A cellar is the bottom level of a house. It's underground, right? And sometimes people store things down there. So that's a place. So that's also a noun. Cheddar is a type of cheese. You can go to the store and buy a block of cheddar. So that is also a noun. Are you noticing a pattern yet? Collar, that's the top of your shirt, right? So a part of the shirt is also a noun. Dollar is worth 100 cents. That's a type of money, so that is also a noun. Grammar is a noun. Grammar is the study of how we put words together in a way that makes sense, right? So you can't just say pizza I like. That's not grammatically correct. It's not following the rules of words and ordering words. So for grammar, we're just going to say grammar has to do with language rules. Putting words together in ways that make sense. Okay, so that's a noun. A liar is a noun. That's a person who doesn't tell the truth. A molar is a noun. That's your back teeth, those teeth with the flat surfaces that are good for chewing. Those are molars. Nectar is a noun. The sweet juice that butterflies and bees and birds look for when they're landing on flowers. A pillar is also a noun. If you imagine the White House, it's got those poles holding up the front porch. Those long poles are called pillars. So I'm just going to write pillar equals pole on a house or a building, right? But they're the decorative poles in the front. Skip this, skip this, skip this. And then sugar, of course, is a noun. So all of these are nouns. So notice AR is a pretty common ending for nouns. Now I skipped some words here. I skipped the word lunar. Lunar describes the moon. So a lunar eclipse is an eclipse that's caused by the positioning of the moon, right? A lunar landing is a space mission where the spaceship lands on the moon. So lunar means of the moon, and that is an adjective. Okay. Polar Polar describes the regions of the North Pole or the South Pole, right? So that's also an adjective. If you visit the polar region, you're visiting the region of the poles or near the poles, the North Pole and the South Pole. Solar is another adjective. Solar panels are panels that people put on their roof to absorb sunlight. A solar eclipse is an eclipse that's affected by the positioning of the sun. Okay, of course we haven't had any solar landings, but anytime you see the word solar, it means of the sun. Stellar is also an adjective. Now, stellar means of the stars, like the stars in the sky, not the stars of Hollywood. So you can do some stellar research, that sort of thing. But we also use this word to mean outstanding. Like she did outstanding, stellar work on her school project, right? Because if you think about it, if someone does stellar work, it's just amazing. It's like not even like what the average person would do. It's like comparable to the stars, okay? So take a look. Lunar, polar, solar, and stellar are all adjectives. Cheddar, by the way, can also be used as an adjective, because if you're talking about a block of cheddar cheese, cheese is the noun, cheddar is the describing word. It's telling people what kind of cheese it is. So over here, ADJ equals adjective. Okay, so when you are writing a bigger word and you're trying to decide how to spell that ending, should I use AR, ER, or OR? Just notice that AR only appears at the end of nouns and adjectives. Okay, so if you're trying to write a verb like remember or gather, you're probably going to want to use the ER. ER is more common with verbs. I also want to tell you something about these three adjectives. They all start with a Latin root. Lune is a Latin root that means moon. Anytime you see a word with lune in it, it's going to have something to do with the moon. Anytime you see something with SOL in it, it's going to have something to do with the sun. And anytime you see something with STEL in it, it has something to do with the stars. So, brown box equals Latin root. Okay, there's another Latin root that I want to talk to you about, because when you get to page 110, you're going to learn about the Latin root part, P-A-R-T. And you're going to discover that any word that has part in it has something to do with separating or dividing. Separate or divide. So for instance, an apartment. If you think about an apartment building, it's one big building with separate living areas for different people. If you think about the word department, like a department store, it's one big store with separate sections. Here's the shoe department. Here's the hardware department. Here's the sleepwear department. If you think about your car, it might have a special pocket in the front seat. That's called a compartment. A compartment is a separate little space where you can store things. You're also going to see words like particle, depart, impart, partial. All of these words have something to do with separating or dividing. So when you get to this page, look at your word bank, read the definitions, and try to put them together. Now, if we look quickly at our list, we notice there's nothing in here with that Latin root part, okay? The only reason we put it in this list is because we're talking about AR here, and there's an AR here. So there's like a very loose connection. All right, I think that's all I have for you today. So good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.